Now we do the ads. Dun, 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 dun. Na, 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 na. Na, 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 na. Na, na, na. Na, na. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Hello everyone! How's everyone doing today? Hope you're all doing good. Today, we are gonna continue our quest for doing background work. Yes. How will I use this exactly? I don't know. Or do I? Maybe I do. Maybe I don't. But anyways, welcome everyone. Rules are the same as last time. We will be using the GBC Game Boy Color palette, and using that as our limitations, we are gonna be making different types of scene compositions. Yeah. And I will be trying to apply stuff that I learned from my art class, essentially. For instance, one interesting thing, did you know that there is a rule? Hold up. Let me know if the music is too loud for any reason. But did you know that there is a rule in scene composition, a very interesting one actually, where you... Basically, the idea is that if you make a horizon line like this one, it works best if it is either on... if it occupies either 1/3 or 2/3. Usually horizontal lines that are right in the middle don't make for like great scene composition. It can work sometimes, but usually it feels a little bit lacking. I found that very interesting because every time I try this, it does work like that. It does work like that, and I... fascinated by it. I'm just fascinated by it. So, right now, we are gonna go ahead, and I am going to try... you know how these woods are all very, very, very straight? That's not very organic. We need to start adding some more organic elements to our piece here. So I am gonna start doing that. Yeah. And let's continue. Let's continue from where we left off, essentially. So I am gonna like make this trunk here be a little more crooked. And since this trunk is a little bit more crooked, we can add a little bit more foliage outside of the bounds. And add a little... just a little bit. Just a smidge more foliage outside of bounds, right? Hello, Lunatic! Welcome to the stream. How are you doing? Hope you're doing good. How are you doing today? You're doing mushroom. I see, I see. That makes sense, absolutely. I hope it's champignon, because that's a very tasty mushroom. Yeah. And that would mean you're doing good. I think. Probably. You follow the logic, right? Man, I was playing Limbus Company. Oh my freaking god. Oh my freaking god. Couldn't reach far enough to the end of the story yet, because there are so many like big battles in this. Just so many big battles. Many big, loud, and time-consuming battles. Mushroom. Yeah, maybe we could add a mushroom. So I'm gonna add this and do a little bit of this. There we go. Na, 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 na. For this one here, I think I want to make it so it's a little bit tilted inward, right? So that means the roots of the tree will be a little bit more outward. But yeah, hope everyone is doing good today. And Jesus, I have so many. Just what I played so far, I have no idea where this is heading, honestly. The worst part about that thing is that if we're talking Limbus Company and Project Moon in general, whenever the freaking index is in charge, whenever there's anything related to the index, it is... You can already throw everything out the window because of like any hope of things making sense. Because it is... They are loopy. They are loopy. Reasoning does not work very well with them for good reasons. So I have no idea what the purpose of anything is even. Very unnerving, but also kind of cool because of it. It makes this whole thing more cool. I went to the mall yesterday, right? Had to pick up a few things there, and I had some Popeyes. I like it very much. I like my fried chicken. Service was a little bit lacking though, but it's because here in Brazil at least, we have summer breaks. But our summer is right now, so the big vacation time for children is between the end of the year and the beginning of the year. So that means that going to the mall right now means you're gonna run into a lot of children and a lot of parents. So it's gonna be at the very least very, very noisy. It wasn't too bad because it was a Monday, but it was like... Monday? No, it was a Wednesday. Sorry. But it was very crowded for a Wednesday. Okay, so there we go. We're getting more organic in the house. Which is very, very nice. Yeah, this part here, I don't know why I'm working on it. It's gonna be... it's not gonna be shown. And this here is bothering me. Yeah, there we go. If like the leaves line up too much, it doesn't feel right, you know? It just doesn't feel right. There we go. Maybe make a little stray leaf here. Here we are. But yeah. Oh my god. I have no idea where this is going, but except it's gonna be pain. I am absolutely certain that Kanto is gonna end in pain. They all do in a sense. I'm in Warframe right now, grinding for the Mushroom Warframe. Ooh, what does a Mushroom Warframe do? Does a Mushroom Warframe throw spores? Is it like a spore Warframe? That sounds interesting. Plants mushrooms, which gives buffs and energy, and becomes marsh mushrooms. Also eat spore. Ah, I see, I see, I see, I see, I see. Also, it's a silly little dude. That is nice. That is nice. Silly little dudes are always welcome. Huh. I never got into Warframe. Partially because the camera is a little bit too dynamic for me. It does make me a bit nauseous, unfortunately. But also, how do I say this? These types of like grindy games, I like the idea of them a lot, but when it comes to actually playing them, oh boy, oh boy. I like the idea of them. I like the idea of having a game that I can, if I log in every day, there's gonna be like something to do and stuff like that. I don't know why I liked MMOs back in the day, but maybe because of me playing a lot of MMOs, I ended up developing a complete and utter lack of patience on the... Okay, so when does this get fun? 500 hours in? Ooh. Which, by the way, I'm not saying that the early game of Warframe isn't fun, but let's say that the whole reason I wanna play Warframe is because of a specific frame. There's a specific frame that I think it's really neat, and I wanna try that specific frame out. So if you tell me like, oh, sure, to get that frame, you're gonna have to grind like 15 hours something, and then try to get the drop from the thingo over there, and then you can play, I'm gonna be not as inclined to play. If you add to the sentence, but you can pay cash to skip all that and go right away, then I really won't want to play. Not saying that that's how Warframe works. I don't even know if Warframe has some sort of pay to skip content thing to it. Some of these games do, some of these games don't. I remember there were quite a few games that I used to play that did that specifically. There was Grand Chase. Grand Chase was a game I played a lot. It was rather huge and popular here in Brazil. Mostly because I mean, you can use Splat to speed up to buy frames, but also you can trade Splat for the place the market. Yeah, I'm sure, and I am sure there are plenty of workarounds for it too. But I still probably wouldn't play it, particularly because gameplay makes me a little bit nauseous. So I wouldn't like to risk buying cash in a game that I'm not gonna be able to play. That would suck. That would be a very sucky feeling. I remember I used to play a game that was called Grand Chase, and Grand Chase was very shameless about its monetization. Like, things that people are complaining about monetization now, I saw all that playing Grand Chase. I've seen it before. I know how bad it gets, actually. There are some games that I don't think the monetization has already reached its peak because of what I saw in Grand Chase. Although, one thing that I saw that was like a really scummy, I found this channel that satisfies a really, really, really dark urge that I have, which is, okay, but what would it happen if I actually paid to win in one of these games that offer the opportunity? What would happen if I looked at my bank account and was like, oh god, give it, fuck it, here you go, game, you can have my bank account. What are you actually giving me for my bank account? There's a channel that does that, where basically the guy has a challenge where he must play the gacha game, the abusive gacha game, for 1 hour. And 1 hour, no, half an hour. Was it half an hour? I think it was half an hour. And every time the game tells him to buy something via pop-ups, he does it. He does it, and he adds 5 minutes to the timer. To how long he's gonna play to the timer of how long he's gonna play the game. Which essentially means that the more abusive the gacha system, the longer he'll be stuck exposed to it, and the more money he will end up spending. So it really is a morbid curiosity kind of channel. I think after he donates his earnings of the channel, he covers his expenses and then donates whatever's left over to charity or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. But it is I did this so you don't have to. And boy, some of the things that the mobile market companies employ is like, oh god, why? There is this one thing where every time you have the gacha, right? You have the gacha, and the gacha helps you roll for hard to get characters. So you're super happy because you managed to pull a hard to get character. So then the game tries to take advantage of your excitement by being like, hey, I see you got character X, right? Upgrading this character? Yeah, you're gonna need a bunch of extra copies of him, which you can get through the gacha by luck. Or would you like to pay money so we can skip all that and you can get extra copies of the character so you can upgrade him? Wouldn't you like that? Wouldn't that be more fun so you can play right away with your super special character that you rolled? And of course the guy had to buy it. Now, the minute he buys it, another pop-up is like, wow, congratulations for making your character more powerful. By the way, that package you bought, that doesn't cover making your character full power yet. No. For a character to reach full power, you're gonna need more copies of him. Lucky for you, we have this other bundle here of upgrades to help you get there faster and easier. Would you like to buy that? And then you buy it. And then it goes, oh, by the way, I just forgot to tell you, your character is still not quite full power yet. Yeah, I'm gonna need to take like $50 from you so I can upgrade it to full now. Thanks for doing business with me. And they do this for every single character you pull. In fact, the gacha in those games was somewhat of a formality, really, because it was not very hard to actually get rare pulls from those, because the whole point was the second you got a rare pull, they're gonna sell you stuff, right? And it was so slimy. And it's kind of funny because at the end of the day, you pay for all this, and all that you're paying for is for an OP character that makes the game easier, trivializes any encounter. And I remember the game was even an idle, it was even idle, so you were minimizing the minimal amount of input you put in the game even further. I don't remember if there was an actual input or if it was just like check power level high, win fight, power level low, go back to grind or buy stuff. I think it was the second. So mobile games are scary. I'm afraid of the amount of cynicism that is put into them. Hello, Sergeant Smeebo. Welcome to the stream. How are you doing? Hope you're doing good. Doing great? That is good to hear. That is great to hear, actually. We are doing pixel art today. I am fixing up this forest path. Trying to make it pop while only using Game Boy Color palettes. Hope you're doing good today. So yeah, and basically here's what we do in the channel. We do pixel art, we rant about stuff, and on weekends I play games. So, what prompted me to doing this is that last year I had some art lessons on fundamentals, and one of the topics we went through was scene composition, and a lot of it was for this type of picture here, right? Like just scenery, perspective. So basically, I was playing a game, a little game called Sword of Truth for the Game Boy, and it had these lovely illustrations of where you were exploring. I suck at scenery. I see. What's your art medium? Do you do digital? Do you do pixel? Pixel? Nice. Yeah, the best thing you can do is practice. Forcing yourself to do what you suck the most is the hardest, but it's also the best way you're gonna improve. Looking up references, stuff like that. Like, let me see. It always is, indeed. So right now, time and effort never betray you, indeed. Unless you're like really wrong about how to do stuff and somehow you manage to teach yourself everything wrong. But that barely ever happens. That hardly ever happens. So let me see. I wanna try to do... like a castle here in the background. We do have limited color palettes though, so I'm not entirely sure which color palettes to use. Let me think. Do I do a Japanese castle, or do I do an like a Western castle? Let me think. Because I want to do it like silhouette-esque, due to being way in the back, right? But in order to do that properly, because Japanese castles, they tend to have like interesting silhouettes because they're very boxy. And it can make like a little hard to make a more convincing silhouette. Hold up, actually, the main advantage of digital versus physical is we have layers, and I can use these layers to make a draft. Say we make it thinner. So Japanese crystal, do like this. But yeah, did you do any like art study? I think I want to get some references. Hold up. So yeah, they're very boxy. They're very boxy. Sometimes you... Oh, we could do that thing where there's like more than one tower, right? So that works. As in learning traditional art. Yeah. I know a lot of pixel artists are self-taught. I am mostly self-taught too, by the way. Which is why I ask. Self-taught, I see. Yeah. Me too. My wife has some more like traditional. She had some more traditional lessons, and she wanted to brush up on the basics. She was like, "Oh, you should come to the course too. It will probably help you improve a little bit." And I'm like, "Sure. Let's try." And I hope it is helping me. I think it is. Like, the way you draw is different, so there are obviously some stuff that is not gonna apply one-to-one and stuff like that, but it is useful to have a few notions. Like, for instance, there is an interesting rule I was just talking about right now, where if you're doing like if you're doing a horizon line in your art, it's usually good if it occupies either 1/3 of the piece or 2/3 of the piece. So the horizon line is better either around here, or around here, which is where I put it. And I was very curious about why that is. And then I start noticing that whenever I am like, while I was traveling and stuff like that, that the horizon line rarely ever, if I look at straight ahead, it wouldn't be in the half, it would never be in the half point of my view. It would always be like 1/3 or 2/3, really, depending whether I was looking ahead, looking at, or looking up. So that's why that's the thing. And I was like, holy crap. I would not have realized that on my own. And Japanese castle silhouettes are interesting. They're very like little houses on top of each other. I feel like perspective drawing really benefits from guidelines. It does, absolutely. Like, right now... Oops, not a group. New layer. This is more or less the guideline I'm following. The escape point is outside. But I'm using this escape point more or less. And I am still thinking about how to do this properly. Oops. There we go. But yeah. Particularly how to make it just a silhouette look good. Maybe we can make it more asymmetrical here, give it a more interesting look. Na 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 na. Na na na. Na 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 na. Something akin to this wouldn't be bad. I don't know. One thing that I find interesting though is that I think I'm gonna bring out a few pictures here But yeah, structurally, they are stacked boxes. They really are stacked boxes. Let's see here. There we go. And these here, they're like the little... Sometimes they would have like a little adornments to the side. Man, I had this when I was little. I had this... There was this Ninja Lego collection that wasn't the Spinjutsu one. And it would have these cute little fishes that would be placed on the side of the sides of the castle. It was so cute and I loved it so much. They were so good. The base idea here I think this one's a little bit too out. There we go. Nice, nice, nice. Maybe we can add some windows to it. I swear, trust the process is really hard to do sometimes. Yeah. You can be like, but I think it's actually looking like shit. It's gonna look like shit. Sometimes it's hard to believe that everything is gonna be alright. But I think we're getting somewhere already. Right? Like this. Maybe I can make this a little bit thicker. There we go. Make it a little bit smaller. 2. Personally, I love to fiddle around while doing pixel art. Just trying to figure out what goes where. If I have an idea, I try it. If it doesn't work, I just return. Thank you for the pet, Lunatic. So we can do this and This is the darkest night sky color we have. So the idea being that this is like seen from a hill and it goes down from here. It's kind of what I'm trying to portray. I could theoretically... What are the other dark colors that I have? I have this one. We could do gray, theoretically. Could use like a gray. Give like a little bit. Extra stuff like this. Just a little bit. There we go. Oh, this is already this is an interesting look. Yeah. These parts a little bit more visible. And I did this. Here we go. So I am picking for the light to be coming from this side. I think this is enough. I'm gonna make a moon right here. I'm gonna make a moon right here. There we go. So that way we can imply some parts of the... We can just imply some parts of the architecture. There we go. Here we go. Okay, okay. Kinda interesting. Like this. Mm-hmm. Na, 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 na. Na, 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 na. Na, 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 na. Oh, this. Oh yeah. This is way better. This is way better. There we go. There we go. There we go. Got a little bit crazy, but still pretty serviceable. Big bad castle in the background. Now, the question is, what else? And do I try to add some extra depth to it? I am making it. Like this. There we go. Now I am gonna add, I think, some more trees up to this part. I'm gonna add some more green up around here. There we go. We could add a mountain. Let's see. We can either add it here, or we could add one here. Position of the castle. I think it's okay. I could also just flip around. Ooh, why does it look better when I flip around? Interesting. Yeah, I think I like this better. go. And for mountain color, we don't have a whole lot. I could do gray. We could do stone gray. Trying to keep things more balanced on one side than the other. Here we go. Think go, then we create this. I still say that this game, the game this music belongs to, is a singularity. It had no right having the quality it has. You know what I mean? There we go. Yeah. think with all the colors that I have available to me, this is like the best moon I'll be able to draw. Wow. Okay, now let's get back to the pet. First things first, shadows. The moon is shining more or less here. So I think that for shadow, make a little bit like this. Oh yeah, for everyone who is joining, remember, if you have any questions regarding what I'm doing, why am I doing X instead of Y, I won't guarantee I'll be able to answer everything, but I will absolutely try to my best on my capabilities. At the very least, I will try. Will it be actually smart? Is a smart answer or not? Who knows? The only way to know is asking. Here. Okay, so over here, shadows would be very more inward. Now you are making that game? Hey Ale, welcome to the stream. Not quite. I'm not entirely sure what I'm gonna do with these backdrops. Actually, I do, but it's a secret. But anyways, this is at the very least a warm-up for that, because I'm trying to work on a limited palette and I am trying to simulate game graphic, like retro game graphics. Hmm. Yeah. Does it look like it's blue? Now that I think about it, yeah, better keep the other color. It keeps the elements separated. Hmm. Not bad, not bad, not bad. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Here we go. Thank you for the pet. Are. Hope you're doing good today, LA. Secret project being worked on stream sounds counterintuitive. So does hiding a tree inside a forest, but I think it will work. oh, Lunatic. Okay, had to request. Go ahead. Tell me. What do you wish? What do you wish? Just woke up, so you're mostly asleep. I see. Super Saiyan Vegeta specifically. Okay. All right. Per se. Vegeta. Here. There you go. It's on the sticky note. That was very specific. That was very specific. I was watching, that actually reminded me, I was watching a video the other day, talking about the Dragon Ball Z, and it reminded me a lot of like the different sagas. And jokes aside on how slow each episode progresses. Which, by the way, I think I watched it on Cartoon. I watched Dragon Ball Z on Cartoon Network, and they mitigated how slow the episodes were by showing 2 episodes per day instead of 1. So there was some actual plot progression during a week. God, the BZ was low. DBZ was so slow. People used to complain a lot about that in DBZ. And funnily enough, for its time, there were a lot of people who were very snobbish about not liking DBZ. Like, oh, you like DBZ? You're mainstream casual. You should watch anime for real, man, like Shobits. You know? I like the Super Saiyan Blue Evolved Vegeta transformation. Nice sort of color and hair color. Probably my favorite one. Ah, I see, I see, I see. Wait, so you want Super Saiyan or Super Saiyan Blue? Shoto. Anyways, off I got sleep. Okay, lunatic. Have a nice Nini. Okay, then I will do the Super Saiyan one. I see, I see, I see, I see. One. So chat, did you had a DBZ phase? What was your favorite saga? What was your favorite favorite villain? What was your favorite character? What was your favorite punching bag? And why? I don't remember. That is fair. That is absolutely fair. Who was your favorite Roga Fufuken user? And do you even know what the fuck Roga Fufuken is? It is Chumika said with Dragon Ball Z Abridged. That is fair. That is fair. I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh! Is the same way. Where somehow, somewhere... the abridged version became more popular and took over the collective subconscious. And everyone's like, what do you mean Bakura doesn't have a gaydar? Of course he does, he's very lonely. He's looking for friends. Actually, my favorite is Vegeta. I prefer him over the Goku in the Risk of Rain 2 mods. That is fair. That is fair. Vegeta is also the baseline for how to make edgy counterparts to your main characters. Some people consider Sonic the Hedgehog to be a Vegeta to Mario, and Shadow the Hedgehog is the double Vegeta to Sonic. Hence why they're very popular characters. Me personally, I just like the way double Vegeta sounds. It sounds funny. I remember liking a lot the Buu saga. Kid Buu I found particularly interesting because Kid Buu was such a big breakaway from other Dragon Ball villains. And the matter that Kid Buu just gave so little fucks about everything. Team 4 Star Cell will forever live in my mind. I heard, I don't know if this is true, I heard that apparently Cell was supposed to be the final boss in Dragon Ball Z. The Buu Saga was actually not really... Oh, I just realized something about doing the leaves on the path. It looks nice, but it doesn't give depth. Oh, hold up. Hold up, I need to... It needs to start I need to start simplifying it, basically. Making it more sparse and smaller as it goes up. Because otherwise we will not have the idea that it's going further away, right? There we go. So Cell was supposed to be the ultimate final boss, and that also explains pretty much everything that happened with Gohan. Because by the end of DBZ, Gohan was very much hyped to be the torchbearer after Goku was done, and that's why Goku dies for realsies during the Cell Saga. And if I'm not mistaken, even the Cell Saga was actually like a huge callback to the original Dragon Ball with the Red Ribbon Army. Oh, but that's not the Cell Saga, that's the Android Saga. The Android Saga is part of the Cell Saga. I hate to break it to you. They only exist to highlight Cell. Love me some Android 16, 17, but they were really only there to be fed to Cell and to establish how powerful Cell is. Because these very powerful opponents were no match, that were very hyped up, were actually no match for him. Also, why Cell had the DNA of every big fighter that Goku ever faced. Okay, Lunatic, have a good one. That is why. That is why. Goodbye. Man, I used to have all the mangas that were released from DBZ. Used to have them all. The printing quality they were released was kind of meh though. Not as meh as some other publications here in Brazil, but still pretty meh. So they started kind of rotting away, so I had to throw them out. There wasn't much I could do to save it. Even Battle Angel Alita, which was one of my all-time favorites, I had to get rid of. It was sad, but it had to be done. See here. Here we go. Now, let me see. We could add some rocks. I watched Dragon Ball Daima from beginning to end. Dragon Ball Daima was interesting. Supposedly, Dragon Ball Daima exists because it was like one final script that Toriyama wrote for the franchise. And it was very nice. You know, it was written with some amount of heart because it sparked some small dumb controversy on Twitter. Of people going, that's not my character, that's not how my character acted as I remember. Vegeta isn't gonna back down just because Bulma yelled at him, and yes, he is. She's always been his Achilles heels of sort. And honestly, whatever the hell they were doing in those bats was worth not fighting Goku. There we go. Yeah, I think. I want like this. Would it add a lot more if it was like this? I think it would actually. It adds a little bit more organicness to the scene. There we go. There we go, there we go. But yeah, I remember when liking DBZ was considered like normie anime. Yeah, that's what that was. There are waves of these. There are absolutely waves of this, like, oh, you like this thing, but you... Oh, so you aren't... Yeah, that's pretty basic, that's pretty basic. The cycles of gatekeeping. It's always there. It's always there. Oh, you like anime? Name every anime. That sort of stuff. It's always there. And it's always lame. It's never cool. It's never cool. Kids don't do that. I go for this texture. And this is kind of the texture I went for here. There we go. There we go. First it was Dragon Ball, then it was Naruto. There was a time that Naruto was considered like because it was very popular, it was considered very basic. People were like, ah, are you a true anime fan? You don't even know Hellsing. Meanwhile, Hellsing was like very much an unfinished kind of mass anime, but you know. They didn't release the ultimate version yet, which had the actual plot of the show. I think this is good. And to top it off, maybe a road sign. Where have you been? Been searching all along. Na 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 na. Okay. This is gonna be a little bit difficult. I'm a shapeshifter at Bill's masquerade. I am bold-faced and mine. Did you meet your show? I'm a shapeshifter. What else should I be? Please don't rip off my mask, revealing all. Is adding anything? No, not really. It's just making things complicated for no reason. I think we're good for this one. I think we're good. I want to make a crossroad. So let's start with that. Take off my mask. Look at me, you see me, as of yesterday. You found me, and down on the road. Need to show I'm a shapeshifter at both masquerade. I am both face and mind, ready to show. What else should I be? Please don't take off my mask. I think I want the path to widen a little bit down here. Not too much, but I do want the path to widen. And I want the path to be narrower up here. And same here. Na, 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 na. You know, an interesting concept of art composition, it's called flow. Basically, it's the idea that every element you put in, this is for design too, by the way, this isn't just for scene composition, that every element you put in a picture will guide the eyes of the person looking at it, and you want those eyes to wander in the right direction. So there are certain things you can do to guide who is looking at your picture to the right places, essentially. I think that principle is also used in UI design to like facilitate finding certain elements. Now, am I good at doing that? Not necessarily, but I am trying. This music reminds me that I absolutely and definitely want to one day play Mega Man EX here on stream. I keep calling it Mega Man EX, but the English version is called Mega Man Battle Network. I don't know, remember why I got into the habit of calling it Mega Man EX. If it's so close to Mega Man X, which I think was why they changed it to begin with. Hello Medina, how are you doing? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. I am making pets. Hello, hello. Doing well too. Thank you. Kinda AP, but just vibing. Nice, nice, nice. So, being kinda AP is more than alright. Crossroad times, I approve. Indeed, indeed. And you know what's the most important part of a crossroads? A good old-fashioned sign. You can't have a crossroads without a sign. And that's what we're gonna draw right now. Because without a sign, you just get lost. So let me think. How are you, dog? Everything going well? It is, it is. Everything is doing good. I am doing good. I had some Popeyes yesterday. They almost got our order wrong, but we were able to correct it in time. And honestly, everyone who works at the mall in my city looked like they were dying. Amazing to hear. Hope Lily and Machito also doing well. They are, they are. Thankfully, I got a good night's sleep today. I got a good night's sleep. No scary storms carrying my doggo. This night, thankfully. Working at the mall sounds rough, so I won't judge. Yeah, it is, it is. Right now, I think it's one of the worst times to work in a mall if you live in Brazil. Because it is the summer break. Schools are on summer break, so all the teens and children with nowhere to go come to the mall. Well, Brazilian malls, they have to be like extra infinite IKEA CP. We don't have IKEAs here, Medina. Which is why Momochi cannot have a Blaha shark. Otherwise she would have 5, probably. She probably would have like 5 Blaha sharks by now. Man, that actually reminds me, when I was... Back when we didn't have Leela, I remember Momochi just created this entire civilization of plushie toys on top of my bed. And we pretty much had no place to sleep. We had to put like... Oh, there we go. That's one reason Mochito can scare me, but not in a bad way. We used to have... She used to have so many plushies. But now I have a bed to sleep on. So, what happened was we got Leela. And Leela, while she was very small, she couldn't reach the plushies, so everything was fine. Except, even when she like started, when she was able to like inch herself just a little bit close to the plushies, immediately she would start stealing them. Like, don't stop. Moment she had to forgo her plushies in order to keep them from the jaws of Leela. Theoretically... So, in a sense, thanks to Leela, I have a bed to sleep on now. It's adorable when it comes and show you proudly the plushie. It is, it is. Leela likes to play rough though, so the way she'll do it is she will take the plushie, she'll come to you, and she will be snarling and wagging her tail at the same time. And you better start running after the plushie if you don't want it to get destroyed, because she will absolutely do that to get your attention. It's very funny. Good to hear sleep is important. It is, absolutely. Oh god. Yesterday I was... Because like, we had the first night that we ended up not falling asleep. It was pretty bad, but fine. It's fine, right? Once in a while. That's not too bad. But 2 nights in a row. 2 nights in a row is rough. It was slightly self-inflicted though, because I didn't trust fully the... I had like a little medication for her anxiety, but I didn't trust it fully. So I ended up staying up late to make sure Leela didn't get in trouble. Yeah, hang in there. Good EP time will come. Where do the crossroad lead? That is the question, isn't it? Where would these crossroads lead? Maybe they could lead here. Maybe they could lead here. Maybe they could lead somewhere entirely different. The mall. The Mall of Doom. Our mall has a few things that I am curious about. Actually. They put this... I'm not entirely sure if it's a good idea. It seems very gimmicky. But basically they put this AR... augmented reality cart place thingus Basically, you drive around the car. You have the area where you drive around the car, the regular cart, but you use like a augmented reality set. The mall. Where does Palpatine does his shopping? At the Darth Mall. Funny joke. uh... That actually reminds me, I kinda want to rewatch the new trilogy, the new Star Wars trilogy. Because I want to remember if it was as bad as like every video essayist makes it out to be. You know what I mean? Because I hear that kind of stuff and I'm like, yeah, but is this reaction really warranted or not? I can't remember. I watched it in the movies a while ago. I don't remember being like bored to that while watching it at very least. Did I think it was amazing? Probably not. At the same time, I don't exactly remember being moved to tears by the original trilogy the first time I watched it either. It was just like an amusing movie. Going to see a movie and then being bored sucks a lot to just entertain me for the runtime. I know, right? I know. Like, some movies will be very entertaining, but the fridge logic also happens. And I had a big fridge logic, a bunch of fridge logic moments. Because during vacation, me and Momochi, we went to watch the new Zootopia movie. I did not really like the Star Wars movies. Please don't hit. Oh, thank you for the stretch. No problem, Medina. Do you mean like all of them? Or did you have like specific ones? And Star Wars will forever be a thing in my heart because when I first met Momochi, she told me, "Wow, you look like a Star Wars nerd." That was her first impression of me. Don't even remember, they were just kind of mid for me. Absolutely fair. Absolutely fair. Oh, Momochi, she's so flirty. Kinda brutally honest, too. Not bad, but I always enjoy fantasy settings more than future settings. That is true. That is fair. Absolutely fair. One funny thing about the Star Wars movies, though, is that a lot of people say that it's way more fantasy than future. It's kind of like fantasy dressed up as futuristic. Is the best way to describe it. Which I agree with because honestly the Force is very is absolutely a very fantastical thing, right? It's like, sure, you got like the plasteel lightsaber, you got your reverse spanner, stuff like this. But honestly, it's all mumbo jumbo. It's all mumbo jumbo. It really is like magic, particularly because I find it funny that, for instance, in the final trilogy, the one that has the Rey girl, right? A lot of people took issue with Rey being able to use force healing. Meanwhile, my ass who played Knights of Kotor was like, no, it's right there. It's in the skill tree. It's right here, see? It's in the skill tree affinity, right over there. It's like there. Force power, a little bit above all the force buffs and battle meditation. It's over there. It's over there. I'm not entirely sure why people were complaining about that specifically. But that movie was kind of doomed. That movie was kind of doomed because... Where's force power testicular torsions? Out jokes aside, I always wonder how weirdly magic is used. Yeah. Magic is used weird, and the more you try to explain some things, the weirder they get. Star Wars in the prequel had a scene that people wanted to die of cringe, where they created basically a way for you to measure force power through blood test. So basically they counted midichlorians and they basically gave an explanation to how the force is used and how the force works, and people really hated that thing about the prequels because the force felt very mystic, and they're like, actually the force is used through these literal little parasites that exist in everything, and if your parasites are super special awesome, they can whisper to the other parasites that are in the other thing to make shit happens the way you want to, and that's how the force is used. And honestly, that explanation is like one of those explanations that just leads to more questions, and none of them are like very good. Because it's kind of like, wait, are you telling me that the guy shoots lightning from his hand because he asked the parasites in the air to produce electricity? That's what we're going with. Really? Are you sure? I like an explanation I read a long time ago. Oh, do share, do share. Like, there is magic all over the world. Every living thing produces magic, but some people are like potholes and gather magic so they can use it. It just makes sense. That is cool. Oh. Hold up. Guys, it's time for... I'm gonna take a quick break. I'll be right back, okay? Just one sec. Here be. Chat. We have popcorn. Moment you brought me popcorn that is insane ham flavored. That is the actual name. Salt and artificial ham flavoring. This isn't just regular ham, this is insane ham. It is very tasty. It tastes like salt. It tastes like artificial ham flavoring. You know how artificial ham flavoring doesn't actually taste like ham? It tastes like artificial ham flavoring. It's kind of like how, you know how artificial strawberry flavor doesn't actually taste like strawberry? Or cherry, yeah. Kind of like that with assign a thing to that flavor that doesn't actually is what it doesn't actually match what you're saying the flavor is, but you're kind of like just I don't know what else to call this flavor, so let's just go with it. You kind of just roll with it. Why not though? Exactly. Exactly. I'm just gonna finish up eating here and then we can continue. So just put oil, salt, MSG and flavor and people love it, and I am people. I think this has a lot of MSG in it. Now that I think about it. I find it really funny when it's pizza flavor. Have you ever had stuff that's pizza flavored? Pizza flavor is interesting because it has a lot of variance to it. Oops. Just a second. Okay. That little... I don't know what the name is. It's that like little corn. Hold up. Like corn skin. I don't know what to call that. Sometimes you're eating and it like sticks to the back of your throat. Okay, there we go. I am done with the popcorn. No, it as well. Some things are just weirdly named and we don't use the words often. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's like a... Might be kernel? I remember corn kernels were a thing, but I think kernels are like specifically like the unpopped popcorns. I think the unpopped popcorns are called kernels. But it could be kernel. It could be kernel. Probably, yeah, now I crave the popcorn. The popcorn is good. The popcorn is good. But yeah, truth be told, I like Star Wars. I actually know a lot about it. I am not a die-hard fan though. I am not a die-hard fan. I watch it for like it's like, oh, cool adventure, na. Don't really are like, oh my god, that Empire fighter cruiser. I'm like, eh. I like the video games though. I really like what they can do with the setting for video games. Knights of the Old Republic is what I actually like the most about the Star Wars, the RPGs that we played on stream a while ago. Those are what I really like. Stuff that interacts shine a lot more in my opinion. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. Why just witness when you can be part of, right? It's so much more fun. I think it's kind of why people started writing fanfics to begin with, right? Because you wanted to find a way to interact with the world that you were invested in, that you liked it a lot. That's why fanfic started. That's why fanfic. There we go. Or like, I wonder what would have happened if X happened and why we're not a dummy. Yeah. Like if the Eagles flew Frodo into Mount Doom. You know, I was just talking about that the other day. Honestly though, the Eagles... I don't think the Eagles could actually... I don't think that is actually a good solution for the problem. I disagree with the angle of the Eagles. 100% I disagree. Because at least, from my point of view, Sauron is a giant watchtower. I don't think it would have worked because I think Sauron is literally positioned in a way where he can see any incoming aerial attacks with the beams. Maybe, in order for the Eagles to work though, you still need to do the gambit at the... You need to do the gambit at the front of Mount Mordor. You do need to do that. Maybe it works because then Sauron gets distracted. But I think you would have to do that for longer. We never figured out how big is Sauron's range of sight exactly. Can't the Eagles not fly super low? The point that you're flying that low though. If you fly really, really low, wouldn't you, like, still be very vulnerable? Because, if I recall correctly, Mordor was very rocky, right? It was a very rocky mountain area. So if you're flying too low, that would mean that, like, orc archers would be able to snipe you right? And there were a bunch of outposts. I don't know. I still don't think. Yeah, but you're an eagle, and how can Sorrow communicate with troops like a phone? You know, that actually never got, like, very... Oh! Hey, Zyber! Welcome to the stream! How are you doing? Hello, everyone! How are you doing? Guys, do you think that the eagles could have flown to Mount Mordor? Welcome, welcome! Hold up, let me give you the shout-out. Thank you for the follow, Calvity. Thank you, thank you.
Cal_VD joined the Ninja Links.
There we go. Oh, did you have a nice yap session? Did you have a good yap session? Hope you had fun today. Hello, hello. How are you doing? I did. That is good. That is good. We're trying to figure out if eagles could have flown to Mordor. Yapping is fun. Glad to hear you have a good yap session. Indeed, indeed. I need to put my ear on ice, but beside that, I'm good. Oh, I see, I see, I see. Wait. Was the headset like too loud? I hope everything is okay. But yeah. Anyways, to any raiders who are here, welcome. My name is Kiba Kitsuki, Ninja Wolf Extraordinaire. I do mostly pixel art. I also play a lot. I'm being on a retro game journey. I do that on weekends, and on weekdays we just do lots of fun pixel art projects and commissions and stuff like that. And yep, about different things. Nah, my ear got pierced recently, so it's really sore and inflamed. Ah, I see. Yes, take good care of it. Oh, I learned something, but I didn't learn it fully. There is one type of food that you need to avoid if you pierced your ears recently. I forgot which one was it though. Damn, I had a nice conversation with a person about this the other day. And now I forgot what was it. You have to, really? Yeah, I don't remember what it was though. There was one food that you need to avoid. Oh yeah, you needed to avoid, I think it was pig meat, if I'm not mistaken. Because apparently pig meat can trigger inflammations more easily, according to the person. I never heard of that before. Yeah, me either. I was like, wait, what is this? I never heard of this before. But why? A good thing I never ate meat anyways. So here's the justification that was given to me about this, is that, you know how technically there are some foods that can increase chances of inflammation? Supposedly, pig meat is amongst those foods. So if you got a piercing or a tattoo, it is best to avoid eating it. It's probably fine, Zyber. The type of piercing I was talking about is most like a belly ring and stuff like that, which is much more invasive than like just getting your ears pierced. Or tattoos. Tattoos can be pretty aggressive too. Mine is a helix piercing, so the top of the ear. Oh, helix piercing. Interesting, interesting. I clean it 2 times a day and avoid pressure on it. Oh, this takes ages to heal. Got one too. Oh, really? It takes a lot of dedication to get like very elaborate piercings. They're like very hard to maintain. I remember I knew someone who had piercings on their cheeks, right in the middle of the cheeks, right? So they look nice and all, but at one point the person kind of gave up on it because they were just too much effort to keep clean. Particularly because it was on the mouth, right? I think the piercings that are on the mouth are like the ones where you need to take the most care. Yeah, like 6 to 12 months, issues in the cartilage there stops with next to no blood flow, which means it heals very slowly, but stops hurting very fast. Just gotta be patient with different jewelry. Funnily enough, no, Kiba. Really? The tongue heals in like 2 weeks. Ah. No, you... Not the healing, but like the maintenance. You gotta keep it clean. You gotta always keep it cleaning it over and over. Gotta keep it very clean, right? Anyways, I'm gonna go get some food and ice to keep the inflammation down. Oh, you do that, Zyber. You do that. Thanks for dropping by, and I really appreciate for the raid again. Thank you very much. Enjoy your food. Yes. Have a good one. Bye-bye. Drawing leaves like this is very relaxing. Gotta say. I think I don't want them pointing down yet, though. I think I like just doing the ones that point up for this POV, you know what I mean? But wait. I was like, wait, did I forgot to put on the music? No, I forgot to turn on my headphones. Silly me. But anyways, I don't know. I like bushes. They are neat, visually pleasing, and provide hiding space for animals. Also, I could in theory hide in a bush, vibing with nature, and people could not. We have music. Yes, we do. I hid in a bush a few times for, like, how do you say, playing hide and seek. Nearly scared the person who was trying to find us to that too, because I waited for them to get very close, then leaped out, startling them, and ran to the safe spot before they could recover from what happened. Even though I was the one hiding, yes. Yes, indeed. Because it was the type of hide and seek where after you find the person, you need to catch them. And there is a save point where if you reach, you win. So theoretically, right at the beginning, when the game starts, you can run away from your hide point to the save point and you'll be fine. Now that I think about it, that could have been like the go-to strategy to kind of break the game. Well, good thing I'm not playing that anymore. See, this is why some games only children should play, because you can kind of, if you're an adult, if you think about it and try to do it seriously, you're gonna break the game. Okay, Kib, I gotta go now. Thanks so much. This and stuff gave me comfy. Thank you for fun. Have an artist stream. All right, Medina, have a good one. Thank you for dropping by. I really appreciate it. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Man, can you imagine a bunch of businessmen playing hide and seek? As like some sort of weird team bonding program. Honestly, with how random those things seems for companies to do, I wouldn't put it past them. I wouldn't put it past them doing something like that. Now that I think about it, did the hobbits have horses for their travel? Because, like, eagles, I still think that's a bad idea. But horses, maybe? Or did the horses die early? I feel like the horses might have died early. It would be really funny though if the horses could be corrupted by the ring, the One Ring. Because they don't even have fingies to put the ring on. But they would still be like, "Oh, my precious," in horse language. That would have been really funny. Do you think in the Uma Musume universe, in the Lord of the Ring movies, Gandalf the White reappears mounting an Uma Musume? And there is just a Shadowfax Uma the Musume version in the story. God. I don't actually play Uma Musume, but the lore that like all horses horses don't exist and everything that is horse related is actually an Uma Musume, always has been, always will be, is really funny. Because the more you start to think about it, right, the more questions are raised in a really funny sense. Were like warlords carried by Uma Musumes to battle? Did people ride superpowered schoolgirls to battle? Did they sing afterwards the wars happened? Do you think the Bloody Wars happens because they wanted to do idol shows after? That could be a thing. It would be a very strange thing, but it would be a thing. Those are the questions I'm most concerned with. You know, asking the real hard fact questions. I also heard kind of a sad thing that Cygames is opening a division to researching how AI can help them produce games and contents in the future. I really hope they waste a lot of time and money just to come with the conclusion that, oh, it doesn't. It's actually just LOP. Let's never do that again. That would be nice. The Cygames have made like some really good bangers with using their money to make like actual good anime and stuff. So I really hope they don't start churning slop. Don't forget where the creative people got them where they are. Alas, alas. Stars will rise and fall. Such is life. And brand loyalty is usually a bad idea. Do you ever get the feeling that investment-based financing is very much a double-edged sword? Because sometimes it feels like the companies are somewhat held hostage to what shareholders think will make the most money. I wonder. God, that actually reminds me, during that weird moment of NFT craze, there was a company that made a card game I used to play, Cardfight Vanguard. They tried to incorporate NFTs in one of their products that was catered towards more otaku collectors, and it backfired so bad, and it was such a bad idea. In the sense where, not just because they were messing with NFTs, it was in the sense that it didn't make any sense to make an NFT out of that product. Where it's like, ooh, we're gonna make if you pull this extremely rare card, you can also get an NFT of it. Wow! And you get a link to the artwork that's already on the card that you own a physical copy. What a bargain! What a bargain! It didn't make a lot of sense because you already technically had the rare card. you didn't really need a certificate that you own the card. Unless, I don't know, you could trade it, go to the police and say, hey, here's the certificate that I own the card, and then you get it back from the person you traded with. So you can make a buck scamming people like that. That's like literally the only thing I can think of that's like remotely resembles a news. And it's not a good one. God. I miss Body Fight, chat. I miss Body Fight. I never played Body Fight in my life, but I watched the anime and it was so loopy. It was so freaking... It was such an insane... The world building was so insane for that. It was like... Yes, there just is a card game that just is connected to another dimension, like the Digi world. It was very much like a card game version of Digimon. Is the best way to describe Body Fight. Cause if you pulled a rare card in the booster, it would create a gate that would teleport the monster card that you pulled to you, and it would become your friend. And you would go on adventures together with it, and you have to play the deck with the card. Cause it's your buddy. It's your buddy. And it was very weirdly named too. The name Body Fight was very weird. It was very weird. It was also very weird that you kinda could play the card game, but you couldn't play the card game for real unless you had a buddy rare. So people would like play the card game in card shops in like they were training for when they finally pull that buddy rare card that allows them to actually play the game for real. And there would be people who would pull rare cards and use those rare cards to do crimes. So you needed something called the Body Police, which was like a special police force for card game related crimes and stray buddies that might have gotten either gotten abandoned or just entered the dimension through other means. You also if you get the buddy rare card, you would need to register it at a special place in your like city hall. So there was like an immigration police for monsters that got summoned through booster packs. And people just sold these booster packs for like $5 a pop. $5 a pop. Get your interdimensional immigrant right here. It was insane. It was absolutely insane. It was an incoherent mess, and I loved it. I loved how incoherent it was. It was crazy, but it made sense, as long as you didn't think about it too much. Or at all. Don't think about it at all. Okay. Now let me think. What else can we add? We can add a lot of stuff here. Thank you for the alert, Skyheart. Thank you. I kinda wish I played the card game, but at the same time, the anime felt like it was accurate to how the game was played in real life. And it was... how do I put it? Let's say it was very fast play. The game seemed to end really quick. To the point where I think it might actually... it probably had like balancing issues. I actually researched it a little bit, because I was curious about how the game was balanced and how it was played. And what I found out was that it suffered from a really funny issue that was not very uncommon for that company, where basically card games have things called power creeps, where cards get increasingly stronger and whatnot. But when you have an anime attached to your card game, you actually get something really special called protagonist creep. And protagonist creep is really funny, because you see, not only your card game is subjected to the almighty forces of market, where you have to make stronger cards in order to sell newer packs to players. Otherwise, why the hell would they bother buying new cards if their cards are perfectly playable as they are, stuff like that. You also have the pressure for the protagonist of your anime to get increasingly stronger cards, so they can move from plot A to plot B, because villain will appear. Villain will have very strong deck. Very strong deck makes the cards that your that your protagonist has be no match. You are no match for my mighty blue eyes. So, protagonist goes on his training arc of going to the store, buy new cards. Nah, just kidding. Usually there's like some sort of mystical moment, like they go to the Himalaya and they meditate under a waterfall with their cards besides them, and then their card starts glowing and it becomes like a newer version of the card. And that's how they get new cards. They're the only ones who get new cards that way, though, because if you in real life want that shiny card, you're actually gonna have to pay for it, and they're usually pretty expensive. That aside, because of that, the game had this, let's say, fun propensity to, at more or less the end of the season of every anime, when the anime was reaching the end of the season, the protagonist would have undergone this protagonist creep loop so much that his deck was the most supported deck in the meta. The most supported deck in the game, period. Right? Because of that, the protagonist deck was the deck with the most possibilities of build, the most hopefully interesting builds. Sometimes it wasn't, the builds weren't interesting at all. So 90% of the players were playing the protagonist deck. Because one, it's the protagonist, so the deck is gonna be popular. Deck is naturally gonna be popular. Kind of like how in the schoolyard you would have a lot of dark magicians and blue eyes running around. But the thing with Yu-Gi-Oh! Was that those weren't really the best cards most of the time. Heck, a lot of people argue that Blue Eyes wasn't even playable throughout most of Yu-Gi-Oh! Blue Eyes, Dark Magician, even worse. Dark Magician is a noob trap. The real good card is Summoned Skull. That's the real good one. That only takes 1 tribute and has the same attack as Dark Magician, you know. Total noob trap to play a Dark Magician. It's 2 tributes. Then along came some specific support that could only be played with Dark Magician, and it became a little bit more playable, still not really. But, you know. You had a reason to pick Dark Magician over Summon Skull. If you were going that route, that is. But in the case of like Bushiroad, they had a philosophy to make their anime to actually play by the rules that they designed, right? So the anime, to an extent, the characters played with semi-competent builds of viable decks for the collection. And because of that, the protagonists tended to have better decks. Either the protagonists had like really good decks, or the protagonist decks were really lucky-sacky. That has been what I witnessed mostly from the time I played the games by that company. Like, it's funny, because in a sense, the protagonist would almost ruin the card game, because everyone is just playing whatever the hell the protagonist is playing. And at that point, and then the company would be forced. It was a mess. It was a mess. It was like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like I guess self-fulfilling prophecy is the best way to describe it. But basically, imagine the following. And you need to make your game diverse, so you make brand new different cards for a brand new playstyle. But at the same time, the most popular thing that guarantees that you're gonna sell your product is the protagonist deck. So every collection, you needed to have some amount of support for the protagonist deck. You needed that support because the anime was rolling and the protagonist needed to do something new to be in order to be interesting when he wasn't losing to a guy to hype up his deck as the strongest one for like 1 second before he turns around and beats the guy because he's the protagonist and he's gotta show his alpha mega female dominance, whatever. So that was going on. So like, you, even if you wanted to get away from the protagonist deck and do something else entirely, you have pressure from the players to give them more support for this particular deck because this is the most popular deck. You have pressure from the narrative side to give your protagonist new cards so they can defeat the new villain at the time. And you just couldn't. So the protagonist always got like 3 times more support than any other deck in the game. And as a result, every end of season, it was just protag deck, protag deck, protag deck. Or protag deck and tag deck, protag deck and tag deck, because the villain also needed a really powerful deck in order to fight the bloated mess that the protagonist deck was. So They would either achieve that by making the villain deck very gimmicky, but at the same time, because it's an anime, everything happens perfectly. The villain always gets the cards he wants until he doesn't. So you can hype up any piece of crap to seem powerful. And my god, were there like piece of crap decks. There were so many antagonist piece of crap decks. There was one deck that it was actually so funny. It was actually so funny. There was this villain that his whole stitch was that he was foregoing his humanity in order to control fate itself. So his deck was like the Demiurge deck, the deck of the false god who will take control of destiny to rise above everyone else. And oh my god, with the power of the Destiny God, he could change the very flow of the game for it to happen the way he wanted. After searching for the gimmicky thingies, I think it was the Zodiac Beast, the Chinese Zodiac Beast, right? After banishing all the Chinese Zodiac Beasts, he gained the power to change future itself that allowed him to stack his deck entirely the way he wanted. So the guy could basically pick every card. He would shuffle the cards in his deck around, then he could pick like the top 10 cards of his deck or something like that and put them in precise order. So one, he would always draw what he needed, and he would activate these effects that happened when he revealed the top card of his deck. And he would change those effects from random to being completely controlled because he's in charge now of what goes to the top of his deck. And this was hyped up to be a really super awesome, powerful effect of Doom. Then, when the protagonist played against him, he waited for the guy to do his whole combo. The combo took like 2 episodes. Hello, Infamia! Welcome to the stream! My man took 2 whole episodes to activate, and he started yelling, "It's time to change the will of fate!" And he did like a dramatic animation. He summoned his most powerful god card, and it was all super scary, and he was like, "Now I control fate itself!" Dramatic maniacal laughter as he shuffled his deck, which is like a very cool thing to do, and not at all it makes you a complete orc, by the way. And then he attacked the protagonist, and the protagonist is like, "Okay, I'm gonna stop your attack with this card. Also, this card has a secondary effect that causes you to shuffle your deck." The guy spent 2/3 of his fight setting up this effect where he could stack his deck to have every card he ever wanted, so he planned everything carefully. And the protagonist just go, "By the way, can you please shuffle your whole deck again?" And just goes, "Smile, you can't control shit now. You're back to the RNG fiesta we all played this game for, you idiot." I'll be real. It was really funny. It was so funny. I don't think I ever seen a villain get thwarted so easily. It's so funny. It was so funny. Unfortunately, that also meant his deck was just terrible. But it was almost worth the cardboard they were going to waste printing that deck. And it was going to be a waste because The anime kinda gave also the recipe to how to beat the deck, so yeah. Most popular deck just happens to have a card that completely counters this strategy, and everyone can just play it and copy exactly what the protagonist did. And it's gonna work perfectly fine like that. Oof. Oh, my poor baby. My poor baby. But honestly, it was such an in-character thing too, because he was such a lame villain. He was such a lame villain. Like, this guy was like researching card gameology to extract like destiny energy from card game, because he got like traumatized or something at one point when one of his friends died. And he decided that, and also he decided that people suck, and that people will always suck, and the only way for people to find happiness is if they stop coexisting with each other. So what he wanted to do... Wow, these leaves are not doing so good. These are okay, these are not good. Let me see. Maybe it's because they need a little bit of this attitude then. Yeah. Yeah, okay, that works, that works. So what he was going to do was he actually got to do a little bit of that. He wanted to trap everyone into like a dream world where basically everything that they ever wanted would happen, but actually no, because they would be asleep and they wouldn't really be interacting with anyone. They would just be interacting with idealized versions of their friends. So like, oh, in this world my family actually loves me. Of course none of them are real, and all they do is exactly what I want them to do. So it was like a... let's all ditch the real world for this simulated VR reality, and everyone will sleep forever kind of situation. Which is not really a good answer to the solution of why can't we all get along, right? It's kind of like just admitting defeat. This is something that card game anime does a lot, is that they do ask like some hard questions and then they come up with like the easiest answer possible. Which is like, wouldn't living without any pain be better? Wouldn't it be better to just abandon all your life and go to a simulation where you're happy forever, even though technically in real life it's 5 seconds and you're dying? And the answer is no. No. No, it's not. It's not. Stop. Stop. Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, actually, the final season that was not dubbed, that was the actual plot. The school year was ending and people were so nervous about the school year ending that they summoned the incarnation of darkness, and that And the incarnation of darkness in that was like, wow, these people are so anxious. I think I'm just gonna put them to sleep forever, so that they'll never need to face the future that's making them so anxious. But then our protagonist arrives and beats their extremely convoluted combo of resetting the same 3 cards over and over again. And then you also discover that the whole universe was created by a face-down card flipping face-up. It's true. This I dubbed it as the Big Flip Theory. It was actually a plot point in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, and why, if you're ever gonna get into card game anime, you just have to embrace the goofy. Because no matter how hard they try to sell you that they're like an edgy and a serious anime, it's always gonna be goofy. It's always gonna be goofy. In the end, it will all be goofy. Speaking of edgy card game anime, there was one that I tried watching a long time ago. I watched the first whole season, didn't watch the second whole season. It was definitely trying to tell a more serious story. But at the same time, the protagonist was Kirito wearing a bunny hood. So... it's Kirito wearing a bunny hood. Hold up, let me show. What was the name? Build a Divide anime. Peak edgy main character design. It's Kirito with a bunny hood. Also, I don't think it works. I don't think it works. It's kind of like, why this Joker aesthetic? Know what I mean? Looks like he has a frog mouth. There's like a crying thing here, and this makes sense for his character because he actually has a casino deck. But the rest feels very, very... what is happening. And funnily enough, the other characters from the show, they have very bland designs, and the designs of the cards themselves isn't like very interesting too. Hey Kitty Kitty, welcome to the stream. How are you doing? Hello, we're making grass. How are you today? I feel like I made a whole lot of wilderness. I do want to make some more varied backdrops too. I want to make a... you know what I want to make after I'm done with this one? I think I want to make like a Matsuri. Ooh, grass to touch? Yes, virtual grass. It's safe to touch. And honestly, considering how much I know about card game anime, I probably need to touch grass. I'm probably in dire need of touching grass. What anime? Oh, just a lot of them. I used to watch a lot of them. The one I was talking about in particular was Cardfight Vanguard. And Body Fight, and there was this one called Build the Divide. Hold up. Let me show again. Which had Kirito wearing a bunny hood as the main character. To this day. What pick design? I don't know what's going on with this. I really, really don't. I really, really don't. What was weird is that protagonist design with the hoodie and stuff like that would probably work pretty well as a card design, right? Rather than as the human playing the card game. But if I recall correctly, the ace card of the protagonist looked very plain compared to that. I don't remember if it was just that card or more. I remember there was one guy that had like a Leomon-esque furry as their deck master. Because this is one of those games that has a deck master. Which I like, by the way. I do like ace cards being part of the mechanic of the game. Even though I'm not entirely sure if they make for, like, good gameplay, you know? Oh, that anime. I thought it was an interesting story. Ah, yeah. Did you see the second season? I only finished watching the first season. I thought the plot twist was very interesting, but I just thought the design of the cards in general was a little bit on the bland side. And I do not like the protagonist design very much. It made a little bit harder. To watch. But yeah, to me, the Demiurge deck from Cardfight Vanguard will always hold a special place in my heart, just because it was so dumb the way it got countered. One of these days, I'm gonna finish watching season 2. It's been a long time, but I think I can still remember enough that I can probably pick up from where I left off. I remember one other, but like villain decks are always interesting in this. I really like the approach that the writers of these stories have to when they are designing decks for protagonists and antagonists. Like, the deck usually needs to have a gimmick that relates to a goal that the character is trying to achieve, right? So I remember in Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc V, there was this character that was a survivor from an interdimensional war, right? And his whole dimension got destroyed, and he was part of a resistance group that was trying to fight back the invaders. So his whole deck was like these Raid Raptor cards which were basically Eagle aircraft drones that the whole goal of the deck is to summon like the ultimate weapon of mass destruction, right? Because he was like very traumatized and violent and just wanted to explode the people who destroyed his life. So it is interesting. It is very fun. The most fun part, I think, of card game anime is when you have you literally make the character fight with their motif, right? Like Little Yugi is compared to Yami Yugi is much more innocent. So in his final deck, he had a bunch of cards that were reminiscent of toys. And his whole setup had a more playful attitude to it. But at the same time, he also had the silent cards, which were the Silent Swordsman and the Silent Magician. And their whole gimmick was that if they stay on the field, watching the battle unfold, they grow stronger. And they will grow stronger until they reach their most powerful form. And the idea was that they were mirroring Little Yugi, because Little Yugi technically didn't play a whole lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! During the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime. It was mostly the Pharaoh who played all the Yu-Gi-Oh! Matches. But he was there, and he was watching, he was learning, and he was growing too. And those cards represent that. And I just think that sort of stuff is neat. It's neat stuff. It's neat. Some are more on the nose than others, but sometimes stuff being on the nose is good and it's fun, especially if you play it for laughs. There was, I think there is one season of Yu-Gi-Oh! That isn't being released properly in the West. I think it's on Disney Channel? It's somewhere, Disney owns it at the moment, which is Yu-Gi-Oh! Rush Duel. And if you look for clips of it, there is this one duel where this one kid with a dragon deck is fighting against a literal CEO AI robot. And the CEO AI robot has a deck of overworked robot employees. And his deck is all about summoning these mass-produced salarymen that lead horrible lives, and then he sacrifices them to increase the power of his main CEO boss card. So, as far as on the nose go, I don't think you can get more on the nose than that. It is really funny though. It is really, really funny. I don't know what the story is, but as far as I remember, from Yu-Gi-Oh! Rush Duel has a card that is literally a sheep idol. And I don't know what the hell is up with that, but it's so funny. You summon her... Basically, you have to summon her groupies to summon her, and then there is like a stage for her to perform or something like that. And also noodle ninjas. Noodle ninjas are a thing. There's a kid who dresses up as a ninja, and he is gonna own a noodle restaurant when he grows up. So he's the noodle ninja on a quest to find the most tasty noodles to serve in his future restaurant. And honestly, I like that. I like that kid. His deck was also a budget deck that I could play on Duel Links, so I played that for a while and it was really funny. I get ranty when I talk about card game animes. I watched a bunch of them. Don't watch them that much anymore. Don't think a whole lot have come out recently, now that I think about it. It's been mostly, I got kicked out of the party, but I'm totally awesome, and they're totally gonna regret that they did that, because now I have found a party that's full of hot women, and everyone will totally know how awesome I really am, except those ungrateful guys from the hero party, because the hero keeps acting like he's such hot stuff just because he's blonde and has blue eyes, and all the girls want to suck his blip. And oh, I'm gonna show them though. I'm totally gonna show them though. Then all the girls will want to suck my bleep. Yeah. That is not the synopsis of an anime. That is an entire genre now. That is an entire genre now. The latest interaction of that though is Ayuri, so I think it's Ayuri at least, I'm not really sure. But it's with a female character. It's a girl character in doing the spiel. And it's kinda dark fantasy-ish. One thing that I found really weird about that anime is that I watched another anime that had not a similar premise, but nearly the exact same premise up to a certain point. It's like they copied the beginning of the anime, changed a few characters here and there, and then they inserted the stuff that they actually wanted to work onto the story. So, one of the first anime that I watched that was getting kicked out of the hero party was chilling in a country town after getting kicked off the hero party, I think was the name. And basically the way that that plot went was that the protagonist was like the brother of the hero being the chosen hero is a girl, and the chosen hero, and in this world people are born with classes that gives them special skills. And the protagonist's class was the tutor, which meant he was that Fire Emblem character that starts with really good stats, but doesn't level up at the same rate as the rest of the party, and eventually needs to be removed from the party in order to tackle harder challenges. So, in a sense, he exists to facilitate the hero journey up to a point, and then he needs to leave the party. But he doesn't leave the party on his own terms. The sage of the party tells him that he needs to leave because he is just gonna hold the heroine back. But the heroine is like she's like his sister, so she's too nice to tell him that he should sod off. And but then turns out that the heroine never wanted that to happen, and that the sage was a poopy head who secretly had a crush on her. So he wanted her all for himself, and that's why he made her brother sod off, because he wanted to control her in order to create the ultimate party or something like that. It was rather convoluted, but it also had its fun moments because it was just the protagonist using his more down-to-the-ground skills in useful manners to the small village, like ease of gathering herbs to make a herb shop and stuff like that, and just chilling out, trying to teach that you don't have to be a successful businessman in order to have a place in the world. I know that in Japan there's a lot of culture, like a lot of cultural pressure for you to like have an office job, because other types of jobs and living in the countryside makes you inferior somehow. And that was like that anime was almost like counterculture to that, right? To that idea. So this anime, where the hero gets kicked out of the hero party, the sage tricks the main character into exiting the hero's party like it was the hero's idea to begin with, but it wasn't. And guess what? He did that because he has a crush on the hero and wants the girl hero all for himself. So already not only is the same plot, but it's the same plot with the same class pulling off the exact same thing. The main difference is that this sage is edgier, so he sells the main character into slavery. But, and this is the part that kinda hooked me in, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit of a sucker for this sort of stuff. I'm kind of a sucker when it comes to like RPG builds that are considered like off meta or that are kind of weird, and they sometimes hold some secret powers and stuff like that. I'm into that stuff. It's very hard to write some of these that are good in stories, in anime and stuff like that, because usually it just gives the impression that everyone else is just stupid if they think that that's not an useful power. It's like, oh my god, you're a healer? Healers are the most useless thing ever. Get out of my party, you healer, you. And it's like, are you freaking kidding me? You don't want a healer in your party? You know what? I'm glad the hero got kicked out of your party, because that means this won't be a very short story. Cause y'all got a that wish there. Y'all got a that wish there. If you're like, healers are stinky poopy heads and we don't need them, you got a fierce that wish if that's what you think. So in this case, the protagonist was born with a power that she didn't know how to use. Her stat screen, because of course there's a stat screen in this, only said that the name of her power was reversal, and there was nothing. It wasn't an active skill, she didn't know how to use that, she didn't get any powers, any magics, anything like that. So it does give it makes sense for her power to be considered useless. And the only reason she was in the party in the first place was because there is like some church thing going on with the hero's journey, where the church decides who has to embark on the journey with the hero. And she was one of the chosen ones with her reverse ability that was considered useless. She tried to make herself useful by doing all the chores for the rest of the party, and it seemed like the party was mostly okay with it. But of course, the sage takes advantage of the fact that she is very insecure, and he also lies to the heroine that he saw like a vision that if she remained in the party she was going to die, and she's totally going to this fun farm in the backside, and you should not think too hard or look into this at all, hero. Don't worry, just trust me, bro, it's fine. Smile. And And when she inevitably winks to the fact that her power is actually useful, it makes sense. By the way, apparently her stats were not even low, they were 0. They were 0. The power literally made her stats 0. So what her power is basically revealed when the slaver that bought her was using her and other slaves as amusement by making them fight monsters that were way out of their league. And in order to give them a fighting chance, he provided them with a weapon. But the weapon was a cursed blade that caused anyone who touched it to catch on fire. So they were in pretty much screwed. Now the girl is like, okay, either I die by the sword or I die by the monster. If I try to grab the sword, at least I will have died trying. So she grabs the sword, and the sword heals her. The sword also apparently gave some very hefty debuffs in stats to anyone wielding it, and to her it was a power buff. The name Revert so now makes sense. She literally has Shuckle's Contrarian, Poke Power, and equipment that is cursed, equipment that is horrible, is great on her. That's why her stats are 0, by the way. So I thought that was pretty neat. It's at least different from how they usually go about these things, where, oh, your super special awesome power is the ability to learn every other power. Wow, you can do anything. That's so awesome and creative, and won't at all confuse the person reading it, because they're gonna be like, wait, could they do that? I don't remember. Was that a thing they could do? That confusion will even work in your advantage as the writer, because you can go, yeah, they totally could. They learned that somewhere, I think. I remember there was one anime that took the concept of like learning your enemy's powers so far, that the protagonist would learn like 10 powers at once. There would be like a huge list, and then later, if the story called for it, he could shoot spider webs out of his butt. And it's like, wait, when could he do that? And then the author would be like, actually he could do that ever since like episode 35 when he killed the cannibal spider. So then he learned her ability to shoot butt. And yeah, it was... I didn't like it. It wasn't for me. I did not like that at all. To me, it was very... It felt lazy a little bit, right? Because it was like... You just throw 3,000 names, and then you decide what they do according to what the plot need them to do. The protagonist also had a harem, and he impregnated like 5 women at once, and their child were born in 3 days, I wanna say. And that was like the highest point of tension in the story, because his child was so powerful and so draining to give birth to the women that they actually run serious risk of dying during pregnancy. That during pregnancy was like the most the highest stake thing that anime had to offer, which is weird because it was a fighting anime. It was very weird. Was a weird show. Nothing to do with card games, it was just a weird show. It's also, I know that it's very cliche to say this, but also, that was definitely an alter fetish, right? That was actually an alter, barely disguised alter fetish thing. There's no way. There is no way. That actually reminds me of average horror stories of role-playing online in chats, where people would like have role-play children, where the pregnancy would last like 3 hours at best, and then the children grow up immediately and move out, and we never talk about them again. So yeah, fun times. Fun times. And with that, I think that's all the time we have for today, everyone. So, thank you very much for joining me today. I am gonna do some more flourishes here. Definitely need, this area here definitely needs more space. Thank you all very much for joining me. I hope you all have a wonderful day or night. And now, we're gonna raid someone. Who are we gonna raid today? Who are we gonna raid? Let me see who is on that I know. Who do I know that is on? Let's see. We got Dinalumi. Lost in Random. Lost in Random. Vampire the Masquerade. That is pretty fun, though. Huh. Let's raid Dinalumi. Let's raid Dinalumi. See here. Dinalumi. Ow. Oh, this looks... Huh. This looks interesting. Okay, so... Once again, everyone, thank you very much for joining me. I hope you all have a wonderful day or night. Stay awesome, and remember, when in doubt, when you think you can do it, just focus your inner ninja. And sure you can! Bye-bye, everyone! Have a good one! Bye-bye!